Just a quick intro of what we're going to be doing. The goal is to go over a little bit about Nymbl, who we are, just to kind of give you guys an understanding of, why are we having this webinar? What makes this something that we can talk to? Go over a little bit about enterprise AI, what type of AIs are out there, what are we seeing in the market, and then making sure we go over the problem and the opportunity that we are presenting today. Why are we doing this, and how is this going to help? After that, my co-host here, Andros Haggins, is going to be going over the contract management application that we're going to demo to you today. And then we'll close out by just going through the different components of that application, why they matter, and just making sure everyone understands how to get started with this. What is the next steps to move into that direction? All right, perfect. Just to introduce us, I'm Zach Barrett. I'm the head of sales engineering here at Nymbl, helping lead the tech of AI at Nymbl and kind of making sure we're pushing forward. And then I have my co-host, Andros Haggins, who is our first AI engineer and is helping me lead that team, helping me push Nymbl in the future and with AI in that direction. Perfect. All right, just a quick snippet about Nymbl. So we are based out of Boston, Massachusetts, but we have people all around the world, between Germany and Ukraine and Brazil, big offices in India. And we're about 90 to 100 people strong at the moment, full-time employees. So we're growing ever fast, and our clients are growing with us. So over 125 different clients today, working with different tools, whether that's low-code tools like Retool or Mendex, or working with full stack development. We also do MoveWorks and other different facilities of AI and technology that we're just trying to help our clients get the best out of the technology available. Perfect. So what is our story? Why are we here? Why are we talking to you today? And why do we think that this makes sense to have this webinar? So Nymbl and our founding members and the people who are still here today started back in 2005 and did a long stint in ERP implementations. And that came with a lot of data migration, data quality, data governance, making sure your data quality is good, making sure that it never goes out of sync, any anomalies that come up, taken care of. And that really set a great basis of what we can do today. Then we moved into how do we take that experience of understanding ERPs and move a little bit further, building enterprise applications. So taking that and now moving into more CRMs and ERPs and looking at contract systems and your day-to-day business applications that run your company. And we did that using low-code tools. We've been working with low-code tools like App Builder and Mendex and Retool for 10 years since they've been started. And we kind of helped pioneer, and we're working as one of the major consulting companies to do that. And we used a lot, we gained a lot of expertise and knowledge about different types of applications, but also ways that applications are used in different types of businesses, different industries, different use cases, and just the minute changes that each business needs. And noting that no business is the same, which leads us into the future of enterprise AI and app gen applications, where we want to be able to give the most amount of value to our clients with the fastest turnaround time without reducing the quality. And using AI and AI agents and app gen technologies, we're able to do that. We're able to take all of this knowledge, all of this expertise that we've gained over the last 20 years to build that into really good planning prompts and AI and app gen application. And where does that fit in? So we've always seen with all these companies that we've always worked with that their goal was always to take the off-the-shelf products and make those essentially run most of their business. But in reality, each one of them ended with it running about 50 or less percentage of their business. And they had this big gap, that white space, that they needed to figure out other products to do that. And so they had these core systems, but then they had, starting with 1, moving to 10, different departments have another 10, into we've seen companies with 200, 300 plus different SaaS products to fill small little gaps. And that's still continuing today. Still something that is a large gap, it's a large problem, and people fill it with SaaS. But we're moving towards a new kind of generation of addressing this issue. For example, before you would always use the SaaS sprawl, and you would have to build out manually more and more of those applications in-house. You would have to have your own in-house dev team. Then it moved into low code. That was the fastest way to develop, most bang for your buck, and we were able to get a lot out of it. And so that took over a bit of the SaaS and a bit of the manual work. But now we're moving into the new age of AI and app gen, and we're able to take on more of the work and more of the applications that you used to have SaaS with, and moving that into AI and agentic applications, allowing the AIs to do the granular tasks that no one really wants to do, and allowing the employees that are using the AI agents to do what makes the most sense, to do the strategy, to work on the hard pieces, to work together with other teammates, to then allow agents to do the main detailed work for them. The goal here is to not have AI do everything, but to use AI to its advantage to allow us to do as much as possible with it, right? And to gain, just like we did with low code, gain the value it brings. And that leads us into, well, what types of AI are there out there today? Regardless of AppGen, how do we actually pull AI into our existing applications? We're going to showcase some of that today, but there's a couple of examples. One of them being enterprise search, or called RAG. It's essentially allowing you to take, and you'll see some of this today, any type of structured or unstructured data, unstructured being documents, files, documentation, PDFs, etc., putting that into a way that we can use AI to quickly search that information, searching it in a way that doesn't have to be keyword search, more of a fuzzy search, very smart fuzzy search that allows us to get the most amount of value out of that data that we've now put into a database, vector database, and use it to grab knowledge, to enhance AI, to enhance agents, and to enhance the people using your applications today. Then we move into document AI, which is, again, the major piece that we're showing today, which is that intelligent OCR, or optical character recognition. But it allows us to take any document, whether it's written, printed, templatized, or not, process it, extract the information from it very intelligently, so that we even know exactly where a piece of information is located on a document, and we can draw a square around that. And the goal is to take that information and place it into a RAG system, and place that into extracted data points that we can use and report on, and use that information that normally you had to go find the file, you had to Control F, figure out where it's going to be, remember the exact language that you used, and now it's just working for you. And then you have your agentic AI, which in my opinion is the most empowering form of AI that we have today, and it's going to be the most empowering form that's going to be in the market, and probably what you're hearing a lot about today. And the agents are essentially utilizing any of the AI pieces that we've already heard today and taking those to something that can work for us, using agents to run tools, workflows, or actions, calling APIs, and making that something that, instead of us having to do that ourselves, it does it now for us. And it's us driving it with human in the loop, making sure it works for us. Okay, so let's get into the Nymbl. What are we solving here? So most of the time, people and companies that we see have no centralized contract repository, or they do, but it's not very structured. It's something that actually ends up just being a pain, because you do have to go to each file, find the exact one, Control F, figure it out, then go to the next one. And it just becomes this fragmented process that you never get the right information, or only one person knows where to go find that detail. So people are missing deadlines. They don't know when contracts end. They don't know what details are in the contracts, what financial information, and there's also clauses. The details about key terms or key information about these clauses and what they mean is also important to pull from. And so we have this opportunity now with AI to empower contract management to get data from contracts or any type of document, really. This is not just limited to contracts, but you could do that at a mass scale, extracting information based on document type. So your statements of work are completely different than your purchase orders. And you pulled back the key terms that you want to pull back. Dates are very important, making sure we then map those onto a calendar, build alerts for those dynamically. And so our goal here is to take all that time you're spending locating the right contracts and finding the right data, all that time that you could be having your contracts work for you, and make that something that is an automated process that automatically happens, and you can easily search or even talk to your document. That's what we're solving here today. I'm going to hand it over to myself again because I forgot this slide. The other ways that this can be used in different industries that this could be used for. So quickly, for example, the legal industry, how this could be used. Legal companies get NDAs, MSAs, SOWs. All of these have different data points, and you're going to want to be alerted about those before the renewal, before they end. And you're wanting to know also what different clauses did we put in there? Do they need to renew in 30 days, 90 days, 100 days? What is their cancellation clauses? Those types of things and data points that we can pull out and have something that's easily just talking to an AI to get that information. Or, for example, HR. Employment agreements are never the same. Your non-competes are always different. Your PICAs are never the same. How do we take that information and, with the right HIPAA compliance, store that information against each employee so that we know, okay, I'm looking at this employee, here are their details immediately, and I don't need to go run through it myself. All right, so now I'm actually going to hand it over to Andros to do our contract management demo, and I will stop sharing and hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. So yeah, I'm going to show our application, Contract Lens. I'm going to start us off here on the dashboard page. So at the top here, you'll get to see some information about the contracts that are currently within the system, the status of those contracts, and which contracts might have some alerts coming up here soon. We'll get into alerts in a little bit. This middle section, you'll be able to see your documents broken up by project. Right now, we only have a single project in the system, but we can see one is completed and 6 are in review for this project. And then you can also see the different contract types as well as which contracts are awaiting someone to review them. Before I get into creating a project and uploading contracts, let's take a look at kind of configuration here. So for configuration, we have the extraction logic. So we have contract types of what we would want. So different contract types might be a supplier, or you might have a real estate lease or a service agreement. You might have some different legal terms that you would want to extract, which you could configure here. You might have different entities. So let's say you wanted the AI to pay attention to a specific person, or a place, you could have it listed out in here. And if the entities are what we would want the AI to include, exclusion rules would be exactly what we would want the AI to exclude. And lastly, you have your alert settings. So these are just configurable things, so you can get status updates on alerts on contracts within 30 days of them maybe expiring, 60 days, you have a warning, and then at the 90-day mark, you might just have like an information that shows up in your alerts for that contract. So let's get into the fun part of this, which is actually creating a project. I'm going to steal this and just say Q1 2026 review. That feels kind of fitting to me. When you create a project, it starts off at this empty state, so we don't have any contracts left yet. So let's go ahead and, upload one. I'm going to do this rental agreement. And then I'm going to go ahead and click upload. And now we get the opportunity to view our documents. And you can see it kind of breaks it down. So the first thing it does is classify what type of document this may be. That's that contract types that we configured. And it's going to start extracting that data. Um, while this is running, I'm going to go ahead and upload two more. So we'll just do these two. Let's view our documents again. And similar, we see them starting to classify the document, and then we'll see them starting to extract the document content. Um, Up here, once you have different parties extracted and the pending reviews and completed, these statuses will update as well. You can also update your project settings here. So I could edit the description, I could edit the project name. And while these finish, I'm going to jump to a project real quick. Oh, I ate my own words. They've already finished. So here's what it looks like to view a project. On the left-hand side, you get to see the actual contract that was uploaded. You can click through it. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger because it might be kind of small on your own screen. You have your contract information with a confidence score. So this is the contract type. This is the effective date. Just some general information, responsible party, contract value, etc. And then you have the different parties who might be within the contract, as well as addresses, and some legal terms, which is what we configured in our settings. So, and it's kind of nice because it gives us the ability to see which section this the AI extracted it from, as well as a little excerpt about that information. So I'm actually going to go to that page. So it's section 8.1. And we can see, yeah, that is where our change of control section is for this particular document. So once you have a document, what do I do with this information? Well, there's a couple of options here. Um, the easiest would be export it to a CSV. Take all this information that's in here. If you wanted to put it in a different system, you could export this to CSV and just upload it. But for this one, I'm just going to approve the document, and we'll see that status over here get changed. And let's go back. Now I want to take a look at our rental agreement now. We did see that our other document got approved. Again, we can see that our document is over here on the right-hand side, as well as new information. This one got typed as a real estate lease, which I feel fairly confident saying that that's probably accurate based off of what I'm seeing over here. And then the landlord for this one and the tenant would be the parties. We also have different legal terms. It looks like this document didn't have a change of control. So instead, I'm going to look at this termination date and renewal date. Let me just go find those. So that's section 15. Awesome. So I can see here, yeah, this is the termination date, May 23rd. And if I scroll up, I should see May 23rd. And then I also see our renewal date here, which is April 8th. And that seems to be correct as well. So I could have also just read this little blurb. So there's a few options here on how you want to ingest the data and confirm accuracy. But the whole purpose here is the AI makes it easy to go and find the data and verify it. And this is important with the human in the loop step that Zach talks about. So let me approve this document as well. Now that we have a few documents, let's take a look at what we can do with them now that they're housed in the system. So we could go to today. And we could see, okay, these documents, this is the effective date for them. I could filter those out. I actually only want to look at terminations. So I'm curious, if I click here, I can see, okay, here are the documents that are going to terminate on April 30th. This view can be really nice if, let's say, you have a month that has a whole bunch of terminations coming in at once. This is great to just get a little macro view of what's coming up. I'm going to flip back to today now. And let's add these back. These work exactly the same for renewals, so I can click and see my different renewals. And then we have alerts. So alerts is what we configured, whether it's expiring, which ones it's urgent, which one it's warning. Since these are under the 30 days, this qualifies as an expiring. We can also see the contract value here. We could jump to the calendar if we wanted to, or we could go straight to the contract itself. So another cool feature is once you have these contracts in the system, it allows you to, uh, since the data is already being parsed, you can kind of come in here. So we could do a basic search. We could say renewals, just because that's on top of my mind. And I could get a nice keyword search of where the document says renewals. But I could also do an AI search and I could say, um, which contracts have renewals? And this will still pull up the contracts that have renewals, a little bit more of a filtered view. Um, but what's really nice is now that we have this, is we can start a new conversation. Let me go in here and target our project. So Q1 2026 review. And I'm going to expand this out just to make it a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to click a nice helpful one, which was just summarize the key terms in our contracts, essentially. The AI is going to think, and we get a nice breakdown of the contracts within our system and the information that was in there. Let's go to one that we saw earlier in the demo so we can kind of see the effective date and when it's through and the total contract value. Let me think of another question just so I can show. So, what are the payment terms and amount across all the agreements? And it's fine if I spell things wrong. It's gonna still pick up my meaning. Similar, we're just gonna let the AI think a little bit. And then we get a nice view of all the payment amounts and terms for each of our contracts that we've uploaded. We could also go back in our conversations if we wanted to. Um, and then you could close this out. You could navigate through the app. So you could be working on this projects page and still have your chat open to be able to chat with your documents. So that covers the Contract Lens app. I'm going to pass this back to Zach, and he's going to give you some more information.
Perfect. Thank you, Andros. Let me get my camera here. All right, let me share my screen here. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to place those in the Q&A portion of the webinar Zoom here. All right, perfect. So what did we just see? Right, we saw a end-to-end data flow. Right, we were seeing the ingestion and the AI extraction, so uploading the documents, using the document AI to convert and pull the text from those files. And we showed some very templatized examples, but we have use cases and in production versions of pulling down files that are completely handwritten, and all of the same details and all of the same data points are able to come back. This isn't a quality thing anymore. It's just, what contracts do you have? Let's push them. And then we saw the classification and field extraction. We saw that, okay, it understood that this was a contract of a rental agreement, and it understood what data points are important for us to understand and us to want, and then put those into the right fields with excerpts from the actual contract. After that, we started seeing the actual data hub. We saw the human validation loop. So if things were a lower confidence, then we needed approval. We saw that the confidence level actually come back from the AI, whether it was 100% or 98%, or sometimes, yes, could be lower. It could be at your 60, 70%, just based on the data, the way it's structured, and if maybe the information just doesn't exist and it wants you to get that review. Definitely going to be cases. We saw it actually store that information in a common repository that we can use in semantic search and do keyword searches. And in the background, this is all role-based access. So for different departments or different projects, certain people or departments or teams could only have access to the documents that they're supposed to access. And the AI pulls that authentication all the way down to the most granular level that the AI can't even see. Is that permission applied? So you can never get access to another document that you're not supposed to. And then lastly, we saw, what is the output of that? Why did we do all of that work, which was the natural language queries? So using that RAG technology that we talked about, being able to ask it any question, and whether it was across one document or many documents, get the right answers. We saw the ability to create alerts and custom alerts. This is something that maybe you want alerts every 90 days, and then 30 days, and then 10 days when the renewals are coming up, which is very important. It happens to us as well, where we have statements of work or contracts that are about to renew, and we need to make sure that our client success managers are well aware of that. And then being able to take that data and now place it into an actual reporting dashboard is the next step. So taking that, putting it into something, hey, we have this many contracts that are renewing on these dates. These are, here's a graph charting all of that information. So that is a full end-to-end. You get a contract, you report on a contract. And that's our goal with this new AI-powered contract management. Next slide here. So just a quick overview of all those components. And I'm going to go through these quickly, and we'll have the ability to grab this deck afterwards. But we talked about the document ingestion and OCR. So being able to take any type of file, contract, document, whatever it is, and pull that into a ingestion process, take the data from it and make it indexed and searchable. And so this can do any amount of contracts. There may be batching systems that we have to put into place, but the goal is to be able to take and migrate everything that you have into this type of system, or leave the data where you have it now. Maybe you're in a shared drive or a current document system that you don't want to leave. They can be ingested not just via upload, but via pulling from your existing sources. The next piece here is the extraction of these data points. And this is all customized. So meaning, as you pull in more contracts or as you pull in more contract types, you can decide what information is most important from those. Fully in your control, and it's fully extendable. So you don't have to come back to any developer to say, hey, I want to add a new contract, or I need to pull this new information from the contracts. You have full ability to customize that yourself. We saw the RAG, the natural language querying. So whenever you put in just a simple question that you would ask somebody else, what is the buy amount in for the Ocala joint venture entity, as I'm reading off the side here, it goes through a quick bit of a process. It goes through and takes your question you just asked and puts it in the same format that the data is in the database. It then does a comparison to retrieve the right and closest amount of information to what your question was. And then it uses, and we were using Google Gemini, by the way, in the background, to read the details and the sections and your question again to provide a very good answer with citations. So all of this process is happening in the behind the scenes, and you saw how fast that happens. It's not a slow process. You don't have to wait 5 minutes and come back to it. It's a quick process. You get immediate answers, and it is faster than having to go through and find the right document. And then we also saw the human in the loop. Very important. We are trying to utilize agents to help us, help the humans. And that's our goal here. It is to keep the humans in the loop where we want them to be, and allow the rest of the time that they used to be doing these types of processes to focus on what they should be focusing on, the harder problems. And our goal is to use confidence scores or other different validations to make sure that we grab the human and alert them whenever we need a review or whenever we need anything that should go along in that process. And perfect. So we've now combined all three of these capabilities all into one single repository, full search, structured extraction into question and answer. And that's ultimately the goal, is get it to something where the people are. Get it to something where I normally will just ask a question to my data admin, or I've asked the question in my head, or maybe someone else asked me the question and I now need to go find it. That's no longer needed. You go directly to the source. They ask the question, it gives it to them immediately. Perfect. All right. So what might be the right time or the right key points say I might be ready for this? And these are just some that are closely related to this type of process. But if you're processing more than 500 contracts, you have all of these different documents or contract types or anything in your system, that becomes a bit of a volume headache where you need to have a really good folder structure or a really good admin to be able to find exactly what you're looking for. If your staff are constantly having to hunt through documents to find the right answers, and that takes away the time that they could be doing something else. If you are having to take information from contracts already, and that's a manual process, or you don't get that right now and you want that data, but it's too hard to grab, then you're going to want to do that as well. And then one of the major ones in my head is to enable other people. So the contract context is something that maybe the sales rep or the one who sold it or the one who gained the contract or the one who created the PO has that information, but it kind of leaves if they're off for a day. And I don't know which contract that's going to be in, but the AI can find that and search it for you. And it gives you the ability to not have to rely on one singular person for information. Perfect. All right, so we're going to send out a worksheet that ideally helps, kind of give you some details around what to look for. But there's a couple of things you can go ahead and start, right? Where go ahead and look at where your files are living today. Are they in a shared drive, most likely, or do some people just have them in their emails, or are they on their desktop and they have to upload them and they download them and then upload them again and download them and upload them again? How consistent are your formats? Are they templatized or are they handwritten, fully ad hoc, coming from different companies? It doesn't matter. It's just whether or not we want to add complexity or add simplicity. And what key fields do you want to use in your business? What fields would be beneficial? We don't need to grab every single sentence out of the contract. We need to grab the important ones to your business. Next is, how do we want to process that? How do we want to capture the files from your system, like I was talking about? Do we want to do bulk upload and have this be the only place that the files live, which is completely fine. We can also send files directly to S3 or to other systems, but do we want to keep them where they're at and people upload where they're used to, and we want to pull that information out of there, like a Google Drive or SharePoint or OneDrive, and process it that way? Again, how do we want to take that OCR quality? Do we need to plan for messy scans, or are they, coming through as PDFs that are sent via email? They're a lot more better quality. And then that defined data model. So you got all the fields that matter. Now, how do we map that to structured fields that we want to pull through? And then where do we actually put that data? Do we want to just keep it centralized location, or do we need to send some of the data to your CRM, to your product management, to your data warehouse? Where does that go? And you don't have to have all these answers, just things to think about. And then at the end of it, if you go through this whole process and you do have one, who's going to review the low confidence scores? How many exceptions or edge cases are you normally having to deal with? That means really, hey, we have this contract type. It's like one every 6 months. They're not very common. They're completely different every single time. Are we able to handle that? That's good information to have. Most of the time, the answer is yes, but it's good to have that information and plan for it in the future. And then how do we want to take this and make it successful, right? Do we want to start with a small contract type selection of certain business units? And what do those business units want to see? Do they want to see time saved or extracted fields or information on accuracy? All right. So, did I skip the slide? No. All right. So we can get to the questions now. Just if you want to download this presentation, you can via the QR code or email us, and we could send you the information. But yes, definitely let us know if you want to talk this through. Even if you just want to talk, we just want to figure out, hey, what could a system like this look like? Feel free to contact us. We are always welcome to having conversations. Right. Perfect. All right, let me take a look here. So I think we have a couple questions. All right. First one is from Erica here. We have, is this a standalone application or can it be embedded into existing applications? So I'll start there. Or can it be linked to other data within apps, for instance, view telecom contracts and tie them into accounts and inventory? Yes. So it can be both. So it can be a standalone application. Kind of the way that's we're going now is with full stack applications. They can be embedded anywhere and can be connected to anything that allows it to be connected. So Definitely embeddable. We actually have a use case right now where the reporting dashboard, different use cases being embedded directly into a completely different application. And then, yes, it can be directly linked, whether that's through database direct or through APIs or any way that we can get access to contracts or how they're coming in or whether they're stored in any place possible. We can likely connect it and get it into the system. Perfect. So, Andros, do you want to answer the
Yeah.
question there?
Yep. So we have another question. Are our contracts used to train public AI models? The answer is no. To give a little bit more detail, we always use, for all AI models, there is usually an enterprise version or a paid version, and those paid versions don't use your models for any training. So whether it may be, if you wanted to use a Google model, we would use Vertex. If you wanted to use an Anthropic model, we might do AWS, but an OpenAI, we might do Azure. But all of those, no data is used for training that gets passed.
Perfect. How accurate is the AI extraction and what happens if it is wrong? Yes, so we've seen very good numbers for the AI extraction, especially if the document types are seen before and we know how to essentially give the AI an understanding of what the extraction field is. So, for example, when you build your contract types and you say, this is the field that I want to pull, we know that it may be called something different in even the same contract type or document type. It could be called something completely different between different actual files that get uploaded. And so the goal is to actually give it a quick little blurb about what that field means, right? Oh, this is the renewal start date. It's the start date of the full renewal, right? Something as simple as that, something as complex as you can get it, but it's to allow the AI to take liberty to, okay, hey, that field didn't exist just straight up, hey, renewal start date. I need to look for it in context of the whole document and gather that data. So with that, we've seen really good numbers through AI extraction. But if it is wrong, that's where the confidence score comes into play and the human in the loop. So that's where the AI will know that it is a very low confident in this answer. And specific questions will have a specific confidence score. We will make sure that the human comes into the loop and is notified and understands, hey, this is the question specifically that we want you to help with, and we need you to validate. So that moves you into that human validation loop whenever things are in that low confidence score. Any other questions? So we showed the demo. If you guys want to see more of the demo or have any details or want to dive into anything, please let us know. You can email us at info@nymbl.app. You can email me at zack@nymbl.app, Zach, spelled with a K. But let us know if any of this piqued any interest, and we are welcoming to anything that you guys want to talk about. Perfect. Well, appreciate the time, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, and hope to see you on the next webinar.